हाँ भाई, क्या हाल है भैया। आज के हमारे पॉडकास्ट की बहुत ही स्पेशल गेस्ट हैं आयशा चंद्रिगर, उनका नाम है। एनिमल रेस्क्यूअर भी हैं, वो थेरेपिस्ट भी रही हैं, जर्नलिस्ट भी रही हैं। शी इज अ स्टूडेंट ऑफ फिलोसफी। उनके साथ में बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग डिस्कशन की एनिमल रेस्क्यू से रिलेटेड, क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हैं। पाकिस्तान में एनिमल लॉज नाम की कोई चीज़ नहीं है, किस तरह वो उनको शेल्टर करती हैं, और उनकी ओवरऑल जो जर्नी रही। साथ ही साथ हमने फिलोसफी को भी थोड़ा बहुत तड़का लगाया है। बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग डिस्कशन रही है। वेरी फैसिनेटिंग पर्सनैलिटी। आइए चल के उनसे बात करते हैं। Hi Aisha,
Hello.
thanks for
How are
coming.
you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm a little nervous.
Why?
Pehla podcast hai.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But I'm
just
sure you've
saying-
done a lot of interviews.
I have, but I haven't had like this kind of a one-on-one.
What's the difference, in your opinion?
I think this is more laid back,
Mm-hmm.
and I think over here it's more casual.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know why I'm getting nervous because of that.
Nah, you'll get along. Ajay, so like I have this entire page.
Yes, I can see you have a lot of questions.
Not a lot of questions. These are your achievements, and
Oh,
like
they're my
it is,
achievements.
yeah,
Oh,
and
God,
it's
okay.
really difficult where to begin. But so like mostly, if you ask me, I've known you as an animal rights activist. तो अब पहले आप ये बताएं कि एनिमल राइट्स एक्टिविस्ट क्या होता है, क्यों होता है, और हमें इसकी क्यों ज़रूरत है।
अच्छा, पहले सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ है कि I never call myself an animal rights activist.
ओके,
I don't like calling myself an activist.
सही।
Because activist की बहुत negative connotation है society में. So the moment you say activist, people get on the defensive. It's because ये जो animal rights का है वो इतना नया है पाकिस्तान में that you need to really tread very slowly and let people get to know you. So I essentially call myself an animal rescuer.
सही।
So
fair enough.
animal rescuer, it's because that is what I do. और जो animal rights का हो रहा है side में, it's almost like a byproduct that is happening from my regular everyday work. So this is how I pretty much managed to see that. लेकिन हाँ, तो animal rights activist का I don't think पाकिस्तान में कोई defined term है. I don't think animal rescuer का भी कोई definition है. I think I'm just making it up as we go along over here, which I actually prefer. So it's one of those situations where I started almost 9 years ago, or literally every day is a new day, because हर दिन मुझे कुछ और, I have to come up with new stuff. And every day you get a new problem. Every day there's something new to think about, to talk about, a challenge, an obstacle to fix, to overcome. So for me, the only definition जो मैं अभी दे सकती हूँ is कि it's a बहुत unpredictable job है, especially यहाँ पे जहाँ पे कोई animal right laws नहीं है पाकिस्तान में, no active laws, and literally I'm working against all odds.
Wow.
So
That's fascinating. That too in a country like Pakistan.
yes.
So आपको इस चीज़ का ख्याल कैसे आया? Why did you decide to do what you do?
That's a question जिसका I don't think I have a really weird answer for it. It's not the typical, oh my God, I love animals wala answer, because A, that's too cheesy and cliched. B, it's not the truth. The truth is I love animals. I've always loved them. लेकिन जब से मैं बहुत छोटी थी, I was very fascinated by death. Not in a bad way.
Okay.
In a way कि I was so aware that you only have बहुत एक limited time है यहाँ पे, and this is all that we know. And you have to make the most of that. Because this is the only thing we know in life for sure is death. And I think उससे ये मुझे एक urgency आई to live, to really live. And not just for me to live, but I wanted to help those live who don't get a chance to. And side by side, obviously, I've always loved animals since I was very, very young. And जब से I was about 5 years old, I've always resonated with an animal's pain. तो जब मैं रोड पे होती थी, as in I'd be going to school, मैं गाड़ी में थी, and I would see a donkey pulling a cart, and he'd be getting beaten up, and this, and and even if someone tried to slap me, even I would do this. So we had such similar reactions. So I was like, what's the difference between him and I? Just because we look different. And this is very interesting. It's a thing that I learned in meditation. जहाँ पे अगर आप value हटा दे of that us humans have attached to a thing, and you just see it for what it is. An animal is a living being just like we are a living being. और हमारे सब feelings, whatever reactions are, वो सब एक ही जैसे होते हैं. So since I was very young, it wasn't, and again, it wasn't just for animals. It was even for kids I would see my age begging on the road. So, you know, मेरे हमेशा ये दिमाग में था कि why do I have more and they don't have the same? So like I would make my mother actually put up schools at home for our maid's kids and our driver's kids, and because I just thought it's so unfair. You know, so and animals का मैं थोड़ा सा कर सकती थी because my family weirdly no one is an animal lover except me, but I would try to rescue in my own little capacity as a kid. But I think it was I specifically now work with animals. I'm actually a psychotherapist and I worked with people before that. But because no one would work with animals ever. तो मैं लंदन में थी और मैं वहाँ पे I was living over there. I was getting I had, you know, I was just breaking out as a journalist. I was a journalist before that as well. So I was getting like good gigs and everything was happening, and I was very depressed severely since I was very young because मैं ये देख नहीं सकती थी जो suffering. I couldn't bear suffering. जब से again मैं I was really young. मैं मेरी अम्मी को कहती थी कि my heart is hurting, and I was 5 years old. And now, jab I've gone to therapy or when I've explored that, I realized I used to have anxiety attacks when I was really young because मैं literally इतनी helpless feel करती थी that I used to just not be able to bear life, which is what made me so aware of death also at the same time. और trauma से गुजरी बहुत चीज़ें हुई, तो obviously it helps to, you know, connect with the most neglected. तो I picked animals because कोई animals के लिए कुछ करेगा नहीं. तो जब मैं लंदन में थी, I decided कि देखो, you can wait for, you know, someone to come and start something. लेकिन I realized it was very difficult realization, but no one is coming to save anyone. आपको करना है, आप किसी और का इंतज़ार नहीं करें. And having expectations is the first sign of failure, I think. I think the way to do it is just get up and do it yourself. So I left everything. मैं वापस आई और मैंने everyone said you're crazy. And I came back. I was still working 5 jobs because I was supporting myself. I had to make money. I had to manage everything. But मैंने ACF side by side शुरू कर लिया, and I didn't know कि I'd stumble upon the kind of animal abuse जो मैंने देखा है, जो जुल्म यहाँ पे होता है एनिमल्स पे. आइडिया था लेकिन इतना भी नहीं था कि हाउ बैड इट इज़ जो यहाँ पे लोग करते हैं एनिमल्स के साथ. एंड इट्स नॉट जस्ट एन एनिमल राइट्स इशू, इट्स what I deal with is violence in society. So it's a much broader issue that I am dealing with at a very grassroots level. इसलिए अगर हम लोगों को empathy और compassion animals के लिए सिखाएं, वो automatically, and this is psychological, automatically वो और empathic होगे with each other, with other people. You know, they just become more understanding. So and the reason for that is if you can learn to do for those जो आपके लिए कुछ नहीं कर सकते in return. And yeah, so I think that's
I think selflessness can be drawn from such behaviors where you can help the helpless. मेरा भी जो अभी तक की understanding है, the crux that I have made so far in life, and obviously you keep learning in life, वो ये है कि one of the reasons that we are the way we are, करप्शन एक बहुत छोटी चीज़ है. करप्शन अमेरिका में भी होती है, पूरी दुनिया में होती है. I think as a society we lack empathy. और हम बिला वजह कुत्ते बिल्ली नजर आएंगे उनको पत्थर मार देंगे, चप्पल मार देंगे,
एसिड फेंकेंगे, बहुत सी चीज़ें होती हैं,
बहुत सारी चीज़ें होती हैं. whereas मैंने ये मुशाहिदा जो मेरा है, जो मैंने नोटिस किया है कि जो सोसाइटीज़ बहुत पीसफुल है वहाँ पे जानवरों की उतनी ही कदर की जाती है जितनी इंसानों की जाती है. और मैं कोई बहुत ही let's say I'm not talking about the most developed countries, even if you go into developing countries, वहाँ पे भी आपको बहुत सारे जगहें ऐसी मिलेंगी जहाँ पे you would walk past a dog और वो हिलता भी नहीं है, क्योंकि हमें यहाँ आदत है कि वो फ़ौरन डर जाता है बिकॉज उसके डीएनए में ये डर है. हम देखते हैं कि तकसीम स्क्वायर में कबूतर उड़ के आपके ऊपर आके बैठ जाता है, ठीक है, वो नहीं डरता. तो हमारा कबूतर यहाँ क्यों डर रहा है? बिकॉज उसको पत्थर मारे हमने सारी जिंदगी. अच्छा, you work as a therapist as well, so you work closely with humans.
I used to work.
Yes. Okay, so you've spent a great deal of time dealing with humans, that close, in that close capacity, and then you also now work with animals. So what similarities have you seen between the two?
That's actually really interesting because I think the biggest, so I started working as a therapist. मैंने therapy की degree, I think it's been about, I've had it for about 8 years or something. And so then I had to practice certain, I think 254 hours free में करने होते हैं to, you know, get your license and everything. So मैंने जो वो वाला किया, I think that was the time I learned the most. Because उस time पे मैंने all my clients were acid burn survivors. And I was very young. मैं
ये पाकिस्तान में था?
पाकिस्तान में था, वो कराची में था. आई एम वन ऑफ दोज, मैं बहुत रेकलेस थी जब मैं आई वाज यंगर. नाउ आई एम 34. मैंने ये सब काम शुरू किया था जब आई वाज 23. And I just came back and I just went. I'm one of those reckless people and I'm so restless, you know, कि if I know that someone is hurting, I won't think about my own safety. I've been very lucky I've been saved so far. But so I worked with maybe like 160 acid burn survivors. I worked with orphans, people with special needs who are very underprivileged. So those were my sessions. But you know, normal, like a lot of therapists will go to schools, colleges. I picked something that I wasn't honestly ready for, because जो मैंने कहानियाँ सुनी और जो मैंने देखा is a very extreme level of trauma जो you know normal नहीं होता, और उसके लिए you have to be fairly like you know, a little more, what's the word, experienced. But it was a good thing that I think I dove into the deep end, because जो मैंने वहाँ पे सीखा था was I mean I'll आपको एक कहानी बताती हूँ.
Sure.
जो acid burn survivors, you know, उनके साथ लोग, the first thing that they'll say to a lot of them is कि आप बहुत brave है, you're very brave, and yeah, they are brave, but they weren't brave by choice.
Exactly.
They have to be. And a lot of them, उन्होंने मुझे ये बोला था कि हमको पसंद नहीं है कि लोग हमको उसी caliber, you know, उस category में डालते कि हम brave है, you know, because we aren't heroes. I don't want to be a hero. I hate what has happened to me. So when they start opening up and you start listening to the stories, you realize that there's almost like a pressure then we put on people, and this is for everyone, even for us. There are probably these strange pressures जो हमारे ऊपर है, where we have to perform in a certain way. और उनको फिर perform करना था heroes की तरह, जब उनको heroes बनना ही नहीं था. Right? And the anger that they felt, और जो उनके साथ injustice हुई थी, it's almost cancelled out because now this is your new role to play.
Yeah.
That was a very enlightening thing. जो मैंने I understood. I actually hired one of the women who I was working with. तो उनको jobs नहीं मिलती. लोग उनको कहते हैं कि you know आप वो they would tell me this themselves कि वो bus stop पे जाते थे और लोग ऐसे करते थे. You know, that's all because they
अस्तगफिरुल्लाह.
yeah, तो
या फिर ये कि आपने कुछ किया होगा तो अल्लाह मियां नाराज हुए, तो आपके साथ ये हुआ.
अब ये किसको सुनना है? एंड दिस इज इट. 5 सेकंड में आपकी पूरी जिंदगी खराब हो गई. सो और फिर वो बाहर ही नहीं जाते थे. अब बहुत से लोग, अगेन आई एम नॉट जनरलाइजिंग, आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू अ जस्ट, जैसे अगर मुझे कल एक थीसिस लिखनी है इन माय क्लाइंट्स के बारे में, फिर आई वुड बी गिविंग अ जनरलाइजेशन एज टू इन दिस सिचुएशन विद अ फ्यू स्पेसिफिक एग्जांपल्स. लेकिन जो मुझे यहाँ पे नज़र आया कि सो दे जस्ट चोज नॉट टू गो आउट, यू नो, बहुत सी एंग्जाइटी और डिप्रेशन से दे वर सफरिंग अ लॉट ऑफ देम, और उनको बस घर पे रहना था, एंड दे वुड नॉट इवन यू नो, और फिर लोग को पता था कि दे वर नॉट गोइंग टू पे देम इनफ एंड दे कुड एक्सप्लॉइट देम, तो barely they'd work for 2,000-3,000 rupees a month.
Wow.
To clean houses. I mean, the level of exploitation.
This was when?
This is 2013 and 2014.
Even for that standard, it was terrible pay.
It's bizarre. It is so strange. और मैं इतनी नाराज़ थी, तो उस टाइम पे मेरा छोटा सा shelter था. So I asked my teacher, I was still studying, but I asked her, I was like, can I hire one of them? You know, and I was like, is it ethical? Am I okay? She said, yeah, go ahead. You know, like you'll be helping her a little bit. तो एक औरत, और उसकी एक आंख नहीं थी, कान नहीं था, बाल नहीं थे, इसलिए her husband had poured 4 bottles of acid
4
on her head, और थोड़ा सा उसके 5 साल के बच्चे पे भी he put it on. Then she told me कि जो उसके कपड़े थे, I'll never forget it, she was like, they just started melting off. So she was naked by the time she ran out on the road. और एक रिक्शा वाला, it was winter, एक रिक्शा वाला ने अपनी जैकेट दे दी एंड रश्ड हर टू अ हॉस्पिटल एंड this was so normal amongst all my clients, you know. It was, and so so she was all wrapped up, you know. वो बस इतनी चादरें पहनती थी for no other reason, but she was like, मैं I look like a monster, मुझे किसी को देखना है और कोई मुझे नहीं देखे. And no matter, you know, और मैं वैसी therapist नहीं हूँ, oh, beauty is on the inside. No, you want to look good, and it's okay to be honest about it, that life can be difficult. And if you're not looking good on the outside, not even looking good, if you're not feeling like yourself, if you don't look like you anymore, आपका जो identity crisis आता है is of a whole other league, you know, which none of us can understand. So anyway, मैंने उनको hire किया और वो आई थी, लेकिन शी सर कि मुझे कुत्ते बिल्लियाँ पसंद नहीं, आई डोंट वांट टू वर्क विद देम. एंड आई वाज लाइक, देखिए आप वो नहीं करें, आप ऑफिसेस को साफ़ कर ले, आप क्लिनिक्स को साफ़ कर ले, लेकिन आई विल गिव यू अ प्रॉपर सैलरी और यू नो ये वो. तो शी सर चले ठीक है, लेकिन मुझे एनिमल्स के पास नहीं जाना. ओके ठीक है, दैट्स फाइन. बहुत से लोग हैं जिनको नहीं पसंद, दे कैन कम एंड वर्क एज समथिंग एल्स. तो वो आ गई, वो पूरी कवर्ड अप थी, एवरीथिंग. वो आई थी, वो चुपचाप अपना यू नो काम करती थी, वो चली जाती थी. आहिस्ता आहिस्ता आई सॉ कि शी वाज हैंगिंग आउट विद द पपीज़. वो किटन्स के साथ खेलती थी, ऑर्फन किटन्स को दूध पिलाती थी, पपीज़ को यू नो स्क्रैच करती थी. ओके, दिस इज़ स्ट्रेंज. फिर आहिस्ता आहिस्ता उसके बाद आई रियलाइज़ कि यू नो एक चादर उतरी, देन शी वोर अ पोलो शर्ट व्हिच इज़ अ यूनिफॉर्म. फिर दूसरी, देन शी टुक द चादर ऑफ हर हेड, और वो शी इज़ मोस्टली बॉल्ड, बट शी वाज लाइक मुझे नहीं पहनना. ठीक है. फिर शी स्टार्टेड वेयरिंग जीन्स. तो हमारा जो यूनिफॉर्म है वो शी वाज वेयरिंग दैट, एंड आई वाज लाइक ओके, दिस इज़ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. फिर वो बड़े कुत्तों के पास जाती थी एंड वो उन पे जंप करते थे एंड दे यूज्ड टू प्ले एंड एवरीथिंग वाज गोइंग वेल. ये 3 महीनों में हुआ और मैं उनकी थेरेपिस्ट थी फॉर मे बी 2 years, एंड आई एम अ गुड थेरेपिस्ट. बट विद दिस इज़ डिफरेंट, बिकॉज जब मैंने उनसे पूछा कि आप में ये चेंज कैसे आया, आप क्या हुआ है, एंड द बिगेस्ट थिंग शी सेड टू मी कि आयशा, एनिमल्स बाहर की चीज़ नहीं देखते, वो अंदर देखते हैं. तो दे डोंट ट्रीट मी जैसे लोग बस स्टॉप पे मुझे ट्रीट करते हैं. They don't care, like they've literally seen what I am on the inside. So it, you know, animals, they helped her get her identity, remember who she was. Because we, as much as हम कहते हैं कि हम judgmental नहीं है, it doesn't matter what you look like, it does. Humans are like that. Within 4 seconds we judge another person. It's just how we work. Animals वैसे नहीं होते. Animals बहुत प्योर होते हैं. वो genuinely they don't care कि आप कैसे लगते हैं, आपके पास कितने पैसे हैं, आप क्या, nothing. They're so pure and they always remain so pure. And that's why I work with animals. I think that story, because जो animals ने इस औरत के लिए किया था, no therapist would be able to do. Because anyway therapy में इतनी projections होती है, you know, there's so much transference and all sorts of things. All human relationships are transactional. It's always a give or take, no matter what.
Sure.
But your relationship with an animal, it's always one-sided, because उनसे वो आपसे कुछ लेते नहीं है. तो literally animals आपको allow करते हैं कि you explore yourself within their emotional capacity. I've healed myself in so many ways, only through animals, which no therapist could ever do for me, which no one could do for me. And अब जो मैं करती हूँ, I try to connect humans and animals as much as I can, because जो animal therapy बसे होती है, जैसे I work with children who've been through drug addiction, and of course they've been through severe बहुत sexual abuse, सब कुछ हुआ obviously, which leads to these sort of addictions. तो जब वो shelter पे आते हैं और वो देखते हैं कि एक 3-legged dog or a paralyzed dog doesn't care, he doesn't give a shit that he has, not as much, he doesn't know that he's lesser than a 4-legged dog. वो उतना ही तेज भागेगा. He'll come for love in the same way. He thinks he deserves to be there as much. तो इन बच्चों ने भी ये सोचा कि if he can live his life like that, मैं भी कुछ try कर सकता, like it's okay, I don't have to be lesser than. So the kind of observations and lessons जो animals आपको सिखा सकते हैं, इसी मैं कह रही हूँ कि it's a very, my ideology is not that I love animals. It's a very philosophical. It goes more on a poetic tangent
on a
because
much deeper level.
yeah, so you see, this is when people say animal rights activists, that I hate labels. It's just not my thing because I like to do 50 other things, right? Lekin if you want to call me anything, mujhe ek philosopher bula le, because that I would appreciate, but I wouldn't appreciate being called any sort of an animal rights activist.
Right. What a fascinating story. अच्छा, अभी आपने जो बात की ना कि यू वेरी ब्रेव, इस तरह हम लोग कहते हैं, और जिस तरह हमारे लिए कहा जाता है जी पाकिस्तानी बहुत रिजिलियंट हैं.
Yes.
या आई मीन लाइक आई वाज गोइंग टू स्कूल, मुझे बम में नहीं फटना था, मैं पढ़ने जा रहा था, तो मुझे वो आप ब्रेव का लेबल दे के गवर्नमेंट्स ट्राई टू डू, और एटलीस्ट आवर गवर्नमेंट ट्राई टू डू, कि वो अपनी इनकॉम्पिटेंस ब्रश ऑफ करने के लिए वो आपको एक या तो शहीद का लेबल कर देगी, या ओ यू आर सो ब्रेव माशाल्लाह यार, लुक एट व्हाट यू डिड, जबरदस्त यार ब्रो, क्या सीन है, बम फट रहे थे बट आप स्कूल. डूड, आई जस्ट वांटेड टू गो टू वर्क मैन. ठीक है ना, मैं मरने के लिए नहीं निकला था, मैं काम करने के लिए निकला था. या जैसे बारिश में लोग मर जाते हैं, तो उनको भी जो है ना वो हम लेबल कर देते
आप
हैं
लेबल कर देते
कि
to
हाँ,
take
अपनी
away-
तारे सही नहीं करनी,
बिल्कुल नहीं.
अपनी तारे सही नहीं करनी आपको, उसके लिए कि माशाल्लाह जी आपको शहादत हुई आपके घर में, तो आपको भी जन्नत में ले जाएंगे, जिस तरह हम टीवी पे भी देखते हैं. दैट्स वेरी अनफेयर. अच्छा आयशा, टेल मी वन थिंग. एवरी टाइम वी हेयर द वर्ड नॉन प्रॉफिट और एन एनजीओ इन पाकिस्तान, तो एक बड़ी नेगेटिव कॉनोटेशन जाती है. लोगों के जहनों में सवाल आते हैं, ओ ये जी अमेरिका का और यूरोप का पैसा लेके और पता नहीं गेनिज्म फैला रहे हैं, पता नहीं क्या क्या लोग जो अजीब से कमेंट्स. सो लाइक यू नो व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज कि लाइक इट्स ऑलवेज, जो लोगों के दिमाग में पहली बात आती है वो आती है जी कोई एजेंडा रन हो रहा है.
Yes.
ये इस वैक्सीन में कुछ है, ये हमारे साथ कुछ करने जा रहे हैं. सो लाइक इस तरह के एनवायरनमेंट में जहाँ पे लोगों की इस तरह का सोच है, और मैं बात कर रहा हूँ पढ़े लिखे लोगों की, हु कैन
Absolutely.
राइट कमेंट्स ऑन फेसबुक,
Yes.
राइट, लेट अलोन जो कि है ही नहीं फेसबुक. तो ऐसे एनवायरनमेंट में हाउ चैलेंजिंग एंड डिफिकल्ट इट इज टू रन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन.
देखिए, द फर्स्ट थिंग इज़ कि मैं लोगों को ब्लेम नहीं कर सकती,
ट्रू.
बिकॉज अगर हम पास्ट एक्सपीरियंसेस पे जाएं, इतनी करप्शन है, एंड NGOs एंड नॉन प्रॉफिट्स सबसे आसान तरीका फॉर वट एवर बैड हैपन्स, मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग और वट एवर इट हैपन्स थ्रू दिस. जब मैं डोंकीज़ के साथ काम करती हूँ, राइट, डोंकीज़ आर लाइक माई फेवरेट एनिमल विच आई विल टेल यू अबाउट लेटर. लेकिन with donkey, calling a donkey is a compliment.
Yeah.
So
Very hardworking.
then he's a lucky guy.
Democrats का sign है यार. It's like the most
They are,
hardworking
and they're the most empathic and the most intelligent, which means then he's all
my
of
best
that.
asset.
So if I could be called a donkey, I'd be thrilled because that is what I feel like my spirit animal is. लेकिन anyway, तो मैं again मुझे गधों के साथ काम करना था जब से मैं बहुत छोटी थी. तो मैंने शुरू किया, जब मैंने ACF शुरू किया, मैं रोड पे थी, आई थिंक वाज मेन कुरंगी रोड, एंड आई जस्ट टुक लिटरली मैंने एक वेट का नंबर देखा था ऑन अ बोर्ड. दिस इज हाउ रेकलेस आई वाज, एंड आई जस्ट कॉल्ड एंड सेड, कैन यू बिकम माय वॉलंटियर वेट? आई डोंट नो, बैकग्राउंड चेक, नथिंग. He was like, okay.
How old were you then?
I was 23.
Okay. Cool.
I still like ridiculous. मैं बस I went with this random man जिसको मैं जानती नहीं थी, और मैं बस वहाँ पे खड़ी हो गई. मैं मेडिकल सप्लाईज आई बॉट, और एंड आई लेफ्ट माई कार डोर ओपन, और मेन रोड पे मैंने डोंकी ओनर्स को बोला कि प्लीज़ अपने गधों को ले आओ, आई वांट टू हेल्प देम, मुझे उनका इलाज करना है. और पहली चीज़ जो उन्होंने मुझसे ये बोली थी कि नहीं मैडम, आप यहाँ पे उनको जहर देने के लिए. एंड आई वाज लाइक, मैं जहर क्यों दूंगी? एंड दे वर लाइक, नहीं ऐसी कोई अच्छी चीज़ नहीं करता. बेसिकली देयर इज नो सच थिंग एज अ फ्री लंच, एंड देयर इजंट. और जब मैंने शुरू किया था, आई रियलाइज कि ओ माई गॉड, यू नो, लोग बिलीव ही नहीं करेंगे कि एक्चुअली मेरी नीयत इतनी साफ़ है, और आई एक्चुअली वांट टू डू समथिंग गुड, एंड आई एम नॉट लुकिंग टू हर्ट एनीवन. मुझे एक्चुअली मदद करनी है. और वी लिव आवर कंट्री, आवर कंट्रीमैन, we live in a state of post-traumatic stress. It's a collective post-traumatic stress. और वो हर दिन reinforce होता है. इसी हर दिन कुछ और होता है, और वो reinforce होता है कि we are not good enough, someone is about to screw us over. So you can't blame people for also having such a negative view. तो जब लोग मुझसे भी ऐसे बोलते थे, इसी लोग कहते हैं कि you know, I speak in English, I'm a burger. Well, I am, and I know that. But it's like, I'm not going to lie, I am that. लेकिन सेम टाइम पे आई रियलाइज़ कि मुझे यहाँ पे ज़्यादा मेरे आप को प्रूव करना होगा. एंड देयर इज़ नथिंग रॉन्ग विद दैट, बिकॉज रादर देन कंप्लेनिंग अबाउट इट, आई प्रेफर कि मैं एक सोल्यूशन ढूंढूँ कि मैं लोगों को प्रूव कैसे करूँ कि आई एम द रियल डील. सो दैट्स व्हाट आई हैव बीन डूइंग. एंड आई थिंक और ये NGOs का बेशक ये है बिकॉज बहुत सी जो ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस है वो रिपोर्ट्स लिखते हैं, वो कोई एग्जीक्यूशन नहीं होती, लाइक यू डोंट रियली सी द वर्क. अगर आप मेरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को देखें, अगर आप मेरे शेल्टर पे, आप हमारे आउटरीच प्रोग्राम्स पे जाए, आप कोई भी मेरी चीज़ देखें, व्हाट यू सी इज़ व्हाट यू गेट, नथिंग इज़ फेक. और द बेस्ट पार्ट इज़ एनिमल्स कांट लाई. तो जो अगर आप वीडियोस भी देखें मेरी, एनिमल्स एक टेक होता है, कोई एडिट्स नहीं हो सकते, नथिंग कैन चेंज, राइट, इट्स ऑल ऑनेस्ट. तो दिस इज़ समथिंग दैट आई थिंक कि वो अगर हमको चेंज बनाना है, इट इज़ ऑल्सो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू नॉट वाइन एंड कंप्लेन अबाउट द फैक्ट दैट इट्स डिफ़िकल्ट एंड वी नीड टू ग्रो अप एंड वी हैव टू रियलाइज़ कि चलो मुझे मेरे आप को प्रूव भी करना होगा. एंड एज अ वुमन आई प्रूव माई सेल्फ 50 times more. Because, I was a bimbo, I was stupid. And to be fair, मैंने भी सोचा था कि I'm a bimbo and I'm stupid. I didn't know. And मुझे बहुत पढ़ना था, study करना था, to educate myself. I've done all these degrees because I was like, I want to know whatever I know. और मैं अभी भी इतना पढ़ती हूँ, which is so important because अगर मैं self-improvement के रास्ते पे मैं नहीं चलूँगी, then मैं मेरे काम को justice नहीं कर सकती. तो like every month I will read about maybe 7 to 8 books. So
nice, that's
one
a good
book
pace.
so one is about philosophy, one would be maybe like a self-help book of some way, one might be Tony Robbins and business, one might be Simon Sinek talking about startups, one might be 2 fictions, like I'll mix it up. लेकिन it's very important to keep your mind active और आपको every day आपको कुछ न्यू सीखना. like मुझे ये term expert बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं है, जो हम यहाँ पे we love using. No one is an expert. और जब आप एक्सपर्ट अपने आप को कहते हैं, यू आर स्टॉपिंग योरसेल्फ फ्रॉम ग्रोइंग एज अ पर्सन.
ट्रू.
मेरे काम में हर दिन आई लर्न समथिंग न्यू बिकॉज यहाँ पे कोई ये कभी हुआ नहीं है. तो हर दिन मुझे लिटरली SOPs हाथ से बना, लाइक फ्रॉम स्क्रैच आई हैव मेड ऑल ऑफ आवर सिस्टम्स, ऑल ऑफ आवर SOPs. मैंने जो नाम दिए, लाइक डोंकी मेडिकल कैंप, लाइक देयर इज़ नो, इट डजंट एग्जिस्ट. आई हैड टू क्रिएट एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम स्क्रैच. तो to create something और उसको to keep it on a level of excellence, because now I can say in 9 years I've reached a very good level against all odds the kind of work I do. You see, I do not compromise on quality. I'm a terror if you compromise on my work. Like that's something I'm very nice. मैं बहुत compassionate हूँ, मैं बहुत sweet हूँ, लेकिन don't cross me when it comes to my work. Sure. I'm like, when it comes to that. So, so I think that is the way I see things. So it's like, so you have to push yourself to so at least for me, if अगर मैंने therapy नहीं पढ़ी थी, अगर मैंने उससे पहले literature philosophy नहीं पढ़ा था, अगर मैंने journalism नहीं पढ़ा था, तो ACF शायद नहीं होता. Because, and Steve Jobs says this, he says कि you can only connect the dots looking back.
Yeah.
Right? तो जब when I look back, I never thought कि ये मेरी calling है, मुझे यही करना है. बस मुझे ये पता था कि मैं बहुत restless हूँ. और and if I'm not, मुझे पैसों का इतना नहीं था जब से मैं छोटी थी. I mean, I want it, but it's not like that is my ultimate goal. मेरा goal हमेशा था कि if I die tomorrow, I need to know that I've done something amazing. And that is how I think is that urgency I was saying. तो जब से मैं बहुत छोटी थी, that was the restlessness. So I know right now कि if I go tomorrow, I get hit by a car, right? Anything happens to me, I know I've done something amazing for maybe 30,000 animals. And that is what I live for. So, for me, जब आप एक कुत्ता आया था, उस पे तेज़ाब फेंका था, just for fun. बच्चों ने उसको, because we'll get to that. लेकिन हमारी सोसाइटी में there's so much violence. और मुझे ये भी नहीं पता था जब तक I actually started doing this. ACF एक hobby थी, and I thought ये hobby ही होगी. I thought I would become an actress या मैं journalist होती. I like performing, I like the stage, I want to be. और मेरी stammer थी as well. I got a really bad stammer. और जब मैं stage पे आती थी, my stammer would go away. So because I didn't have to be myself, right? You could dissociate or you could become another person. I didn't have a stammer anymore. So I found that really fascinating.
And how did you overcome that?
By pretending I'm on stage all the time. But it actually works, because then I sort of I keep talking to myself a lot, and like in talking to myself, I kept giving like you have to be your own cheerleader. तो मैं मेरे आपको ये pep talks देती थी before I was in
You talk in
journalism
first
school.
person or third person?
Third person. Come on, Ayesha, you can do this. I know you can. So because I would go, I was in my master's in journalism, or and I'm an idiot. I picked broadcast journalism because I was like, I will overcome this stigma. Because उससे पहले मैं जब मेरी undergraduate degree literature philosophy में थी, मेरी ideas इतनी अच्छी थी, but I was so shy और मेरा stigma इतना बुरा था कि मैं बात नहीं कर सकती थी in the seminars and all. तो I picked journalism. इसलिए मैंने सोचा कि I am going to overcome this. I want to put myself in the most uncomfortable place and I'm going to conquer the shit out of that. So that is how I like doing things. So
you like to put yourself in situation चाहे मैं फंस जाऊं और फिर निकलने का एक ही रास्ता और then I'll overcome.
Yeah, because you see that's how you build character and that's how you know what you are made of. And I think when you know what you are made of, things don't seem so scary anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's the trick. हम सब इतने comfortable है living in a mediocre comfort zone.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm saying death gives you this reminder, wake up, you gotta do it, you have to do it, you gotta do something different.
Yeah.
You have to do something meaningful, right? And that's what keeps giving me that thing. I'm going to throw myself into a situation and I will swim and find my way out of it.
So जैसे कि like as you were saying, it reminds me, तो अभी जब कैमरा रोल से पहले मैं आपको बता रहा था I have this channel and I'm planning this and that. So plans तो मैं बहुत चीज़ें करता हूँ, but sometimes I get lazy as well. So you know what I do? जिस तरह कहते हैं ना कि आप सिचुएशन में अपने आप को खुद फंसा देती हैं. I tell it to my Instagram कि मैं ये करने जा रहा हूँ. Now I have to do it क्योंकि मैंने बता दिया है. फिर लोग फॉलो अप भी करते हैं कि जुनैद भाई आपने बोला था वो चैनल आएगा कब आएगा. तो you know that keeps me going. And also भी जो आपने डेथ वाली बात की ना, reminded me of a quote that said कि every man lives two lives. The second one begins when he realizes he only has one.
Yeah, absolutely, spot on.
तो वही डेथ जो है ना, इस पे एक और मैंने बहुत अच्छी चीज़ सुनी थी. नील डिग्रास टाइसन said that कि there is beauty in death. It's because कि when I can give you a bouquet of flowers, plastic के दे दूँ, they will last like for months and months. But I choose to give you real flowers.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's beauty in temporality.
Absolutely,
perhaps.
yeah, there is.
One day they will be gone. So like you tend to cherish it more.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, if you could live forever, why would you wake up in the morning?
So boring, right?
Right? क्या करोगे आप?
Yeah.
So it's like the death is like कि यार ये मेरा counter चल रहा है. I don't know when it is.
Yeah.
ये भी एक मसला है. या तो पता हो ना कि 65 है. तो ठीक है, this is the pace I'm keeping. पता ही नहीं है. आज हो जाए, कल हो जाए, 50 साल बाद हो जाए, right? So it keeps you, I think that is the basic driving force. अच्छा, अभी आप खुद कह रही थी कि I'm a burger. So do you think कि any sort of activism कह लें आप, या any sort of rescue program कह लें, as you like to state it, it's a very privileged affair. For example, a lot of people, वो हमारे ज़्यादातर जो लोग हैं वो अपनी बेसिक्स ही पूरी नहीं कर पाते, लेट लोन थिंकिंग अबाउट अदर्स, एंड उसके बाद भी फिर एनिमल्स. तो डू यू थिंक इट्स अ वेरी प्रिविलेज्ड अफेयर?
देखिए, द इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग इज कि मैंने अपने आप को बर्गर नहीं बोला है, लोग मुझे ये लेबल करते थे. मैं ओके व्हाटएवर ऑन क्या, सो लेबल मी एज यू प्लीज. लेकिन आई थिंक कि एनी सॉर्ट ऑफ, आई थिंक सबसे जो बड़ी प्रिविलेज किसी को ज़िंदगी में है इज़ योर हेल्थ. अगर आपके पास अब आपकी हेल्थ है, आपके पास एक दिमाग है, यू बिन गिवन द टूल्स, एनी सॉर्ट ऑफ टूल्स, इट इज़ योर ड्यूटी, आई फील, टू मेक just like you're talking about Neil deGrasse. I'm a big fan of all, like I love Neil deGrasse, I love the universe, I love studying about all of this. So Neil deGrasse के जैसे there's and I'll get to philosophy first. So in Stoic philosophy, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, so he said, whatever you do, even if it is the most boring task in the world, do it amazing. Because you don't know when your last day is, but just that is what you're doing, that is your present. Past nahi hai, future nahi hai. Jitni bhi boring task hai, just do it the best you can do it. So us pe I say कि nahi, I think you have to make the most. If you have privilege, you make the most of your privilege. You do something with your privilege. And I don't think this is a privileged position. And I'll tell you why. जो मेरे donors हैं, हमारे पास में भी हज़ारों donors हैं, which is how हम चलते हैं. And जो मेरे donors हैं, वो बहुत कम लोग elite class से हैं. सब लोग salaried लोग हैं, who are making a certain amount, और वो इस cause में इतना believe करते हैं, वो volunteer करते हैं, वो visit करते हैं, they keep up with all the news. And they are the ones who give. They'll give 1,000, they'll give 500, they'll give 100. They're students, whatever pocket money they have, वो उससे देंगे. तो this is the people, and these, और जो हमारे reporters होते हैं. तो basically मेरा एक 911 type of ambulance service है जो हर दिन पूरे कराची में चलता है. तो सुबह में और रात में the night before हमको calls आती है कि यहाँ पे ये कुत्ते को someone has shot him, यहाँ पे एक बिल्ली पे किसी ने boiling water फेंका. And हर दिन there are about 10 to 15 rescues.
What's the number, if you don't mind? You can share
our
it.
number. It's 0334, yeah, around 5666000.
Acha, I thought it was like 911.
No, I wish. I'm trying to get one of those. Yeah, I'm terrible at that.
It's okay.
But I don't remember the number, but I'm trying to get a cool number. I'm waiting on that right now. लेकिन लोग हमको फ़ोन करते हैं और फिर they say कि यहाँ पे इसको ये वो whatever, the donkey abandoned या उसका उसकी टांग टूटी हुई है whatever. तो all of the reporters जो हमारे report, जो भी मेरे पास 780 animals है अभी, और हर दिन 10 से 15 new rescues आते हैं. Imagine the numbers. लेकिन they only come because लोग हमको फ़ोन करते हैं, वरना हमको कैसे पता होता. Animal भी फ़ोन नहीं उठा के नहीं बोल सकता, right, that I'm sick, please come and take me away. So the people who call us all over Karachi, not privileged people who have taken time out of their वो ऑफिस से 1 घंटा ऑफ लेंगे, वो सड़क पे जाएंगे, वो मेरी टीम का इंतज़ार करेंगे. They will help us pick up the dog. They will locate the dog. किसी कुत्ते को तो नहीं पता ना कि हम आने वाले हैं. So you see, it's a very easy thing for people to say without actually looking at the bigger picture. In your own capacity आप कर सकते हैं, right? और ये लोग अपने खुद, फिर ये लोग जो है, who I'm just talking about generally, my reporters, I'm so inspired by them because वो अपने इलाके में कुत्ते और बिल्लियों का ख्याल करते हैं. वो उनको वो खाना देते हैं, तो left overs, right? Whatever घर में रोटी के टुकड़े जो कोई इंसान नहीं खाएगा, they leave it for them. They will take care of them. फिर वो हमको बुलाते हैं, वो कहते हैं उनको vaccinate कर लो against rabies, उनको neuter कर लो, तो we'll go and we'll do that. And they take care of their animals. So I may have the actual facility, लेकिन everyone is doing it in their own way. So in that way, I don't think it's about a privilege thing. Over here, I think it's just a very hard job. और आपको, जैसे मैंने भी कहा था, मुझे 5 jobs करनी थी. I'm from a single parent household. I've supported myself for years. So it's not, I think the privilege which I have had is my education, definitely. लेकिन education even, it can finish there. बहुत से लोग Harvard भी गए हैं and they are complete idiots. They just like saying I went to Harvard. You don't even need to have that. It's about how you educate yourself and how you grow as a person and what impacts you. So I think in that way, I don't know if it's so much about privilege as it is about what you do with your privilege. So I think, I don't know.
Interesting. अच्छा, अभी you were talking about कि जब आप you went to those people कि आपने उनके गधों को ट्रीट करना है and उनका instant reaction ये है कि आपने इनको जहर दे के मार देना है. We see a lot of culling of dogs. Do you think कि जिस तरह के शहर की अपनी डायनामिक्स होती हैं, it reflects on our behavior towards animals? Because Karachi has been a very violent city all through our lives, at least. तो वो एक sort of हमारी एक psyche बन गई है. It's like कल 2 वीडियोस चल रही थी फेसबुक पे, policemen are just shooting robbers, और वो फेसबुक पे people are casually commenting कि वो उसके फेस पे गोली मार दी, ये सिंध पुलिस जिंदाबाद. like it's like very normal now. तो जब हमारा इंसानों के लिए इतना हमारी सेंसेशंस ही ख़त्म हो जाएंगी, तो जानवरों के लिए क्या ही होंगी. So do you think that behavior reflects on our treatment towards animals? एक सिटी की वाइब वहाँ भी मैच होती है?
I think yes, लेकिन ये लाहौर और इस्लामाबाद में भी बहुत होता है. हम बस कम देखते हैं because वहाँ पे I think they care more about optics. तो इसलिए आप इतना देखते नहीं हैं,
Because I was just
लेकिन
asking
it
नम्रा कि
happens.
मैंने ये सिर्फ कराची की ही
नहीं,
तस्वीरें
ये
देखी हैं
सब
कि वो
जगह होता है।
केएमसी वाले जो ट्रॉफी सजाते हैं ना जिस तरह
वो तो
40-40
हमारा
कुत्तों
कल्चर
की।
है, दैट्स ऑल कराची।
हाँ,
लेकिन दूसरी इट हैपेंस इन इस्लामाबाद बिकॉज मेन इस्लामाबाद सिटी में आप कोई कुत्ते नहीं देखेंगे,
you're right.
राइट? So it's
बिल्ली
not
भी नहीं दिखती।
because, yeah, it's not because they're more compassionate at all. It is just because where optics are better, optics are better. So it's more. I don't think ये एक सिटी का की फॉल्ट है, ये कलेक्टिवली हमको कभी, जब से एटलीस्ट मैं छोटी थी, मुझे कभी एनिमल्स के बारे में नहीं सिखाया था एवर, राइट? आई डोंट थिंक यू मस्ट हैव लर्न, देयर इज नो कोई भी दूसरी जैसे अगेन लाइक नील डिग्रास यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट or David Attenborough, you know, they talk about the universe and they talk about the other elements जो universe में है other than human beings. और funnily scientists सबसे humble लोग होते हैं because they realize that there's something so much bigger than them. और हम इतनी छोटी सी चीज़ है इतनी बड़ी दुनिया में, लेकिन यहाँ पे our culture is as such कि हम बिल्कुल central focus सिर्फ हम ही है और no one else is allowed in our orbit. और अगर कोई भी चीज़ हमारे जैसे नहीं लगे, अगर वो हमसे डिफरेंट हो, वी विल फियर इट एंड देन वी विल वांट टू किल इट. ये एक कल्चरल चीज़ है विच आई थिंक वी ऑल ग्रोन अप विद, कि इट्स अ फियर ऑफ द डिफरेंट एंड आई थिंक इट कम्स फ्रॉम अ वेरी डीप रूटेड intolerance about something जो हमारे जैसे नहीं है.
That's a very good point. Speaking from a religious aspect, we're largely a Muslim country और हमें बचपन से भी यही चीज़ें पढ़ाई जाती हैं कि अगर रास्ते में कोई पत्थर भी हो आप वो हटा दें उसका भी सवाब है.
Exactly.
And it's all about behavior. It's less about practice. It's mostly about how you are as a person
Yeah.
towards other people and other beings. तो what do you think कि where did we go wrong? कि वो teachings reflect ही नहीं हो पा रही towards our treatment, हमारी treatment जो animals के लिए है.
I don't think it's again, I don't think this is religion at all. ये हमारा religion is very peaceful.
Yeah.
This is not about religion. There's not like that doesn't even come in. ऐसी मैं इसकी बातें नहीं करती. ये culture है. The culture that हम humans, हम इंसानों ने खुद का वो किया है. I don't know if it's a power game. I think it may just be that कि you know a certain type of person must be on, and this is again human nature कि आपको कंट्रोल भी करना है, राइट? इट्स अबाउट सर्वाइवल ऑफ द फिटेस्ट. लेकिन अगर आप में एम्पैथी नहीं हो, फिर सिर्फ आप यू आर द ओनली वन हु विल एवर सक्सीड. एंड आई थिंक अगेन वी वेरी फार बैक, आई डोंट नो व्हेन, लेकिन हमने बस सोचा था कि वी आर इट और कोई और, एंड देन नथिंग एल्स कैन मैटर. सी अगेन लोग मुझसे ये कहते हैं कि आप एनिमल्स का करिए, लोग दे डोंट इवन थिंक अबाउट अदर पीपल. इट्स सो नाइस दैट यू डूइंग फॉर एनिमल्स एंड आई एम लाइक what a sad standard to live by. Because what a sad standard. Like I would never take that as a compliment. I take that as an insult. Because I think again मैंने बोला था ना कि our society lives in a collective post-traumatic stress. I think इतनी negative चीज़ें हुई है, not forever, maybe I don't know dating back when in society, लेकिन I think there's so many negative things that people have done to each other कि everything else becomes irrelevant then. So I think, and again that is purely a cultural thing. ये हमारी society में there's a kind of a selfishness कि सिर्फ हम ही हैं. और what people don't see is कि अगर वो अपने दिमाग और दिल को खोले and you allow others in, you don't have to have money for it. आपको इसके लिए privilege भी नहीं चाहिए. एक कुत्ते को पानी देना is not because you are in a privileged position. You can do it even if you don't have anything. उसको leftovers देना घर से, अगर आपका घर है कुछ भी है, आपके पास एक रोटी का टुकड़ा भी है, you can give it to an animal. उसमें लोग people think कि it is you have to be very privileged to be kind. That is messed up. Why do you have to be privileged to be kind? And that's what I don't understand कि kindness में इतनी conditions क्यों attached है. अब आप इंसानों के लिए आपको kind होना या आपको animals के लिए kind होना, आप दोनों के लिए kind नहीं हो सकते. Or you can only first you fix all the poverty problems and then only you come to animals. How does that make any sense? Do you know what I mean? So we operate in such extremes. And a person only operates, or a society only can operate in extremes if they are collectively suffering from some sort of a trauma. Because trauma, when you undergo trauma, you start operating extremes.
एंड इट मेक्स सेंस बिकॉज अगर तो कोई वाइल्ड एनिमल है जिससे आपको खतरा हो कि ये मेरी जान मुझे या मेरी फैमिली को हर्ट कर सकता है, तो वहाँ पे समझ आता है द यूज ऑफ वायलेंस. आई मीन अगेन, अगर आपके पास कोई चॉइस नहीं है एंड यू डोंट नो हाउ टू डील विद दैट एनिमल, ठीक है. बट लाइक अगर एक डोमेस्टिक एनिमल है जो आपको कुछ भी नहीं कह रहा और उसको भी आप तंग कर रहे हो, परेशान कर रहे हो, दिस इज एक्चुअली शर पसंदी. इसी को ही तो कहते हैं कि आप बिला वजह एक चीज़ को तंग कर रहे हो.
और वही होता है कि लोग कहते हैं कि आई मीन इट्स सो इंटरेस्टिंग, जब हम रोड पे होते हैं और हम लोगों को एजुकेट कर रहे होते हैं अबाउट डॉग्स, कि अगर आप डॉग को लात नहीं मारेंगे, अगर आप पत्थर नहीं मारेंगे, तो वो आपको कुछ नहीं बोलेगा. तो लाइक नहीं बाजी, वो तो बहुत मुश्किल होगा. व्हाट? लाइक नहीं, ऐसे हम गारंटी नहीं कर सकते ना कि हम उनको उसको नहीं मारेंगे ना. ऐसे क्यों? आप बस उसको तंग नहीं करें. नहीं, लेकिन बच्चों को मज़ा आता है.
Wow.
Do you see what I mean? So it's like, I mean, clearly the problem is in our own behavior. That's it. तो इसमें और हम इतने एक चीज़ होती है, you call it, it's a condition, it's called cognitive dissonance. It's when a human, and this is only a human can do this as a species, you can hold two opposing ideas at the same time and still think you are correct. So you can be the most, you can believe that you're the most pious, good human being, और साइड बाय साइड पे आप किसी का मर्डर कर सकते हैं एंड यू विल नॉट कनेक्ट द टू, लेकिन यू विल बी ओके गोइंग.
हाँ, कि दोनों सही.
हाँ, तो वी ऑल सफ़र फ्रॉम दिस. देयर इज अ स्प्लिट कॉन्शियसनेस में. एक स्प्लिट है कि आप दोनों चीज़ों को मर्ज नहीं कर सकते. तो अगर आप कुछ बुरा एनिमल्स के साथ कर रहे हैं, एंड द अदर रीज़न आई हैव अंडरस्टूड कि लोग एनिमल्स के साथ क्यों वाई दे आर वायलेंस, बिकॉज दे नो दे कैन गेट अवे विद इट. कोई अकाउंटेबिलिटी नहीं है, और बिकॉज वो आपके जैसे लगते नहीं हैं, राइट, यू नो you're okay getting away, and the same thing will never happen to you. एक आदमी कभी एक केज एम्प्रेस मार्केट में नहीं बंद होगा, राइट. तो you're going to think I'm not going to care about this animal because that's never going to happen to me. हम लोगों का ज़्यादा करते हैं because we think, oh my God, that could happen to me, it could happen to my family, it could happen to my child. This is another reason why we say it's easier to be empathic towards people. तो आप schools का बहुत करेंगे, आप hospitals, charity में बहुत करेंगे, because you always think that could, and not obviously but subconsciously you'll think that could happen to me or to someone I love. Animals के साथ आप कभी एक केज में बंद नहीं होगे, आपको कभी जहर नहीं दिया जाएगा, आपको कभी ऐसे गोली नहीं मारेगी जब you're just sleeping on the road, literally not hurting anyone, right? आपको गधे की तरह कभी एक कार्ट नहीं चलानी होगी जहाँ पे आपको इतना. तो if those things आपके साथ नहीं होंगे, why are you going to care? And that is empathy. जब when you can learn to care again for those जहाँ पे you'll never be in their position, where you'll never know what they actually go through, but you still want to help them. That is empathy.
That's a sweet thought.
Yeah.
What's your take about आजकल हम देखते हैं लोगों ने just for the gram exotic animals रखने शुरू कर दिए हैं. डिफेंस के घर में जिराफ भी घूम रहा है. हमारी गली में हस्की घूम रहा होता है इस गर्मी में.
Oh my God.
हस्की वॉक कर रहा होता है बाहर, और इस तरह के लाइन कब्स होते हैं लोगों के हाथ में, लाइक फॉर द ग्राम वो कर रहे हैं, घरों में रखे हुए हैं. व्हाट्स योर टेक ऑन दैट?
I mean, I think again to that, we need to come to the reason why. The reason is कि आपको social media is a blessing, but it's also a curse. इससे आपको दिखाना है कि I am so cool. There's something different about me. और उसके लिए you always are performing in some way or the other. And I think again, exotic animals, इससे आप यहाँ पे उनको इतना देखते नहीं हैं, automatically gives you this badge of coolness, but it's not cool, right? It's a very cowardly thing to do कि आप wild animals को रखते हैं at home. So उसका obviously my take is very obvious. Our wild animals belong in the wild, और किसी का हक नहीं बनता to take any animal out of the natural habitat. और अगर आपको इसी मैं zoos के भी बारे में ये कहती हूँ कि देखिए, of course we should educate people on what animals are like. उसका मतलब नहीं है कि आप उसको एक केज में बंद कर दे, बिकॉज वो एनिमल विल नॉट इवन बी बिहेविंग लाइक ही वुड इन द वाइल्ड, राइट. तो व्हाट यू आर शोइंग योर चिल्ड्रन, एक जू में जो आप दिखा रहे हैं, यू आर शोइंग अननेचुरल बिहेवियर. तो वो कुछ सीख रहे नहीं हैं. जो बच्चे सीखते हैं इसके, इट्स ओके टू टेक अ ब्यूटिफुल वाइल्ड animal and cage him and make him suffer because we can. वो मैसेज बच्चों को मिलता है. What I say is, चलो ठीक है, आपको ऐसा कुछ करना है, make a sanctuary closest to the natural habitat, जैसे नेपाल में होता है, बाहर वो अफ्रीका में होता है. Do it in that way, जहाँ पे आप it'll be beautiful as well. You'll be preserving the ecosystem, and you're going to be letting animals be free and live the way they want, and people are going to see them for what they are, and you can actually generate more money off that if the government actually looks at that in that way. And it's such a beautiful thing to do that you're actually seeing animals for what they are. लेकिन जो हम animals को वैसे नहीं देखते. We see animals as something which is an object to control. हम उसको control करते and we really enjoy taking out our power on them. हमको violence is another word for power, because we don't get to do this with humans, right? So and human beings by nature, we are cruel. This is just a fact. And we have to, because survival of the fittest का ये भी मतलब है कि if it means that there's a certain element of cruelty in there, but there's also a level of empathy. You have to choose कि आप कौन सी side पे जाएंगे, because it's really interesting कि we've managed to be so successful as humans because we can operate in large groups. Hundreds of thousands of millions of people can operate together. Animals can't do that.
That's true. अच्छा, so अभी हम बात कर रहे थे कि you come across a lot of violent cases. मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स शेयर करें ताकि लोगों को, क्योंकि वो कहते हैं ना आउट ऑफ साइट आउट ऑफ माइंड, क्योंकि हम इतनी सारी चीज़ें देखते नहीं हैं. जैसे आपने बात बताई कि बच्चों ने कुत्तों पे तेजाब फेंक दिया बिकॉज उनको बस चिल करना था. दिस इज समथिंग न्यू फॉर मी. तो मैं चाहता हूँ आप इसी तरह की कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स शेयर करें ताकि लोगों के अंदर शायद एम्पैथी जागे.
एक छोटी सी किटन, मे बी साइज दिस बिग, उस पे एक आदमी ने बॉइलिंग वाटर फेंक दिया. तो जब वो मेरे पास आई थी, उसकी स्किन लिटरली सिजल कर रही थी, और जो मैंने आवाज़ें सुनी, किसी भी लिविंग चीज़ से वो आवाज़ें नहीं निकलनी चाहिए. It was, we had to put her down, but before we could even do that, जो पानी था वो उसके अंदर, like मैं उसकी intestines देख सकती थी, because her entire little body melted in my hand. That's what I mean. And this is what we do.
Wow. And what happened to that guy?
No one knows, because there's again, animals आपको बता नहीं सकते ना कि किसने क्या किया है. तो ये होता है, कोई रिपोर्टर उसको देखेगा रोड पे, हमको फ़ोन करेगा, हम जाएंगे, एनिमल को ले लेंगे, लेकिन बहुत मुश्किल होता है टू होल्ड पीपल अकाउंटेबल, बिकॉज कौन लोग हैं, और एनिमल्स हमको बता भी नहीं सकते कि किसने ये किया, कैसे हुआ. तो इट्स सो डिफ़िकल्ट टू नो, एंड दैट्स व्हाई आई एम सेइंग पीपल गेट अवे विद इट बिकॉज दे नो दैट दे कैन, विच इज़ और ये मैं लोगों से बहुत कहती हूँ कि हमारी सोसाइटी में बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स है. इंटॉलरेंस सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है. Be it women, men, like all of that. But there's so many issues. And this all stems from, again, fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown and fear leads to violence, right? And it's not a fear like, oh my God, I'm so scared. It's a fear like, I refuse to accept anything other than myself. It's a different kind of a fear. It's a cowardly fear, which turns into violence. और ये हम you see this the most animals के साथ. इसलिए again you just get away with that. तो ये एक एग्जांपल है. दूसरा एग्जांपल ये होगा, अभी एक रीसेंट मैंने पोस्ट लगाई थी about a mother donkey. ठीक है, अगर आप उसके जिस्म को देखें, both her front legs are broken. और उसके पूरे बॉडी पे सिर्फ ज़ख़म है, because she was beaten that much. And she was pregnant. तो हमने उसको रेस्क्यू किया था. We helped her deliver the baby. लेकिन donkeys, they stand, they like to run, they like to walk. They'll not run, they'll trot, they'll walk, but they are standing animals, right? वो उठ नहीं सकती. वो कैसे उठती थी? She would use her mouth to hold the ground and lift from her back legs. I mean, but also look at nature's beauty that she even found a way to get up. इसलिए वो करती थी वो सो दैट वो सुसु पॉटी कर सके, वो खाना खाए और वो अपने बच्चे को दूध पिलाए. And we couldn't keep her going like this because this is like agar I've gone to America and England to study about animal shelter science and animal welfare because ये एक पूरा अलग साइंस है. शेल्टर ऐसी वो मेरा शेल्टर भी नहीं है, ये सैंक्चुरी है. और इतने डिफरेंट स्पीशीज़ है मेरे पास, राइट. तो आई हैव कैट्स, डॉग्स, donkeys, monkeys, birds. I have a lot. अब jackals भी आए थे.
jackals कहाँ से आए?
Sindh Wildlife, I had rescued these orphan jackals.
Okay.
So their mother had been killed. So they sent them to us so that we could because they had scratches everywhere and some man was selling them. पता नहीं किसको बेचा था, and they took them. So they gave us the jackals कि आप इनकी थोड़ी सी मदद कर ले कि make them strong again. और फिर we can release them in the wild when they're a little older. So even our jackals, it was like, what are we going to do? Like we get all sorts of animals. And मैंने monkeys का भी rescue ऐसे शुरू किया. So I really want to have a rescued wildlife sanctuary eventually if I can make the money to do that and actually do it. But yeah, so sorry, I totally forgot what I was saying. You asked me a question. Didn't answer.
कि like ये violence वाला ना कि like donkey जो है.
Yeah, so this mother donkey that I was telling you about. So we were so there are these pain charts, right? These pain scales जो आप बाहर जब आप जाते हैं आप पढ़ते हैं कि अगर animal को इतना pain हुआ है and she or he is showing these signs, this is when you have to euthanize the animal. This is when the animal has a chance. This is when that. So funny that लेकिन their pain scale is really easy. Like it's like donkey is suffering from obesity, or a donkey has a cold or a flu. Ours is like beaten to pulp, bleeding everywhere, 2 broken legs because the cart was uneven, the weight was uneven. So our scale जो मुझे localize करना था पाकिस्तान के लिए is of a whole other level. जो मुझे injuries का भी scale बनाना था. बाहर मैंने कभी नहीं देखा कि किसी कुत्ते पे एसिड फेंका है. That's not even on the scale. Our scale, their scale is like a heart attack or old age or little bit of abuse. Thodi over here it's like patthar phekna until the eye has gone and head is bleeding, skull has split open, all of this. So literally I had to make everything from scratch because nothing exists over here, and there was no way of deciding, okay, when is the ethical time to euthanize, when is not. Now mashallah se we are in a good place, lekin इस अम्मी को हमको ये कुछ करना भी नहीं था because she was fighting for her child. So when I saw that she is pushing her mouth into the ground to lift and her gums are bleeding, but she is standing on just her hind legs with her 2 legs like this in plaster and wounds everywhere. Uski pictures dekhe, she's on our page. She is standing just to feed her baby. But obviously my team, लेकिन she wasn't trusting us because उसने भी सोचा कि, and donkeys बहुत perceptive होते हैं, उसने भी सोचा कि they're going to hurt me. Because अगर आप donkey के पास जाते हैं, another interesting point, donkeys ऐसे नहीं देखते, वो ऐसे देखते हैं. तो आपको साइड से जाना और आपको बस ऐसे हाथ वो करना है. That's it. You can't do this, or you should never do this with any animal, not even a dog. आपको नीचे से जाना होता है and let them come to you. Because no one likes aggression and they view that as aggression. तो इस डोंकी के साथ she did not let anyone come near him because she thought कि हम उसको और मारेंगे. और सब donkeys के साथ ये होता है, अगर वो एक इंसान को देखे and you just even do this, they'll just quickly do this because they know they're about to be slapped. And I know a donkey has rehabilitated jab I can do this in front of him and he's just going to look at me and be happy. So, there are certain points now where I know, okay, this guy he's good now. It takes a while, but I know, that's the part I live for. Yeah, I know they have come out of their trauma and they're okay. And this mother donkey, it took her maybe a week. और हमको उसको बहुत उसकी पेन मैनेजमेंट बहुत इंटेंसली करनी थी बिकॉज मेरे जो हमारा काम है, it's not about getting animals adopted. It's about 2 things. It's about giving the animals a good life for whatever time they have. And number 2 is to spread awareness कि ये abuse बंद हो जाए. Adoption बहुत आगे की बात है. लोग कहते हैं, get the stray dogs adopted. Let's be realistic. No one wants to adopt a stray dog. अभी तक लोग still ये सोचते हैं कि stray dogs को rabies है. And we are so status conscious कि अगर husky नहीं हो या German Shepherd नहीं हो, then we aren't cool, right? So that's a whole other dialogue which is maybe is going to happen in the next 20 years. So let's be realistic. I prefer being a realist over here. And being a realist is right now, there are two things. Give an animal the best life possible. So while an animal is at my place, they are going to live like they are in a 5-star hotel. That's what I'm saying. I don't compromise on care at all. And number 10, my staff is beyond amazing. Like I've only hired people who are like me. And they are as crazy as I am. अच्छा, this is even an interesting story because जो भी मेरे साथ काम करता है, मेरी अब different teams है. Rescue team अलग है. जो मेरे lead rescue officer है, वो actually accountant थे. Quit his job and he joined me. Yeah. So everyone has such an interesting story. लेकिन उन्होंने हमारा काम देखा and they wanted to become a part of it. So with this mother donkey, sorry, I keep going into different parts. We had to keep her going for the sake of her baby, but because she really wanted to be alive to see her baby. So we thought, okay, let's wait until she knows that we will take care of her baby and then we will have to euthanize her. लेकिन उसको ये satisfaction, these nuances, ये बहुत ज़रूरी होती है. And this is an empath can only pick up on these things. लेकिन so we kept showing her कि देखिए, we're not going to hurt you. Let us come near you. Then she'd let my team pick her up कि वो सुसु पॉटी कर ले, वो खाना खा ले, वो अपने baby को feed करा ले. Then the baby is so friendly. Baby donkeys are the friendliest animals. They kiss you, they hug you, they nuzzle you. So he was coming to all of us, nuzzling and kissing, and she was watching. So she was watching everything. The mother kept seeing. Then slowly she herself she really held on. No, सिर्फ एक माँ ऐसे hold on करती. No one else has that kind of will. She held on for her baby. I can't tell you how she did it. But then she herself was ready. And there's a बहुत एक different energy मेरे sanctuary पे. I can't explain it. लेकिन it's a very pure energy. And this anyone who comes there, you leave a changed person. It's not depressing. It's very happy and colorful. And I don't like cages. सब खुले हुए होते हैं. And everyone, I don't know, they just somehow get along.
How do they not fight?
They fight during like feeding time or they want attention. But like it's very silly fighting. So, and obviously animals with behavior issues, I have big areas where I keep them, which are separate to the other animals. And then slowly we rehabilitate them to adjust with everyone else. So honestly, it's amazing. The animals have pools to dip in. They have trees everywhere. They get smoothies, yogurt smoothies daily. It's a great place if you're an animal. This mother then, she was ready to go. We euthanized her. She went like this because she was like, but she was comfortable because we were hugging her baby and she was okay with that. And it's so strange that the very next day, I have about 6 other feeding mothers, donkey mothers who are living over there with their babies. And mothers don't allow a random animal to come and feed from them. वो सब इस बच्चे को दूध पिला रहे थे. And we were like, okay, because we were like, chalo, we have to get goat milk, we have to do this, इसको पिलाना होगा. But they all made some sort of a strange pact with the dying mama where they were like, we'll take care of your baby. And I swear to God, this is a normal thing I see. The kind of insane stories I can tell you like this.
Sure, go on.
Where you're just like, nature is, I don't know, kuch to hai, that is beyond us, which we'll never understand. And now that baby has been adopted by 5 mamas. और वो सब उसको दूध पिलाते हैं and he sort of become everyone's son. So he lost 1 mother, but he gained 5. And we didn't have anything to do with that. It was just these sort of stories are, and they heal each other. जैसे donkeys जो होते हैं, donkeys are very social animals actually. They like a companion. तो हम 2 नए donkeys को एक साथ डालते हैं. तो whatever their issues are, their wounds are, they help each other heal. And then they become best friends. So then they hang out the whole time. फिर अगर एक मरता है खुदा ना खासा, the other one gets really depressed. Like their heart breaks. That is the way animals are. So even dogs and cats, like they'll bond. Like we had this, I'll give you another. There's this one fighter bully. जो कुत्ते होते ना, the bully breed. तो यहाँ पे लोग, I think use it, I know they use them for dog fighting or gambling or whatever they do with dog fighting. It's the most barbaric, disgusting act. But they do that. तो ये मुझे एक बुड्ढा सा bully मिला था. एंड बिल्कुल ब्लीडिंग एवरीवेयर, ब्रोकन, स्किनी, बिकॉज जो वो करते हैं वो उनको खाना नहीं देते, पानी नहीं देते, उनको केज में बंद करते एंड दे बीट द क्रैप आउट ऑफ देम सो दे बिकम अग्रेसिव. और जब वो अग्रेसिव हो जाते देन दे ओपन द केज टू गो आउटसाइड टू फाइट. दिस इज द लेवल ऑफ क्रूअल्टी. तो ये जो कुत्ता था, ही and we were like, oh my god, it was my first bully. Now I've rescued a few, but we were like, oh my god, he's going to be aggressive. How are we going to handle them? I'm not a dog trainer. I don't know anything about dog behavior. I just know how to heal. Like, I'm on that side of things more. I was like, I don't know what we're going to do. This dog comes in, we had to tie his mouth because we, muzzle lagana tha, because we had to tend to his wounds and everything. वो थोड़ा सा growl कर रहा था. So we were like, चलो ठीक है, just put him in one of the bigger cages separately and we'll ice deal with him. Now, what we didn't realize was that, so 2 cages down, we had a set of orphan puppies जिनकी अम्मी को जहर दिया था. So the mother died, the puppies were trying to feed on her dead body. That's how we found them. And the puppies somehow got out of their cage and I had a heart attack because I saw they were in the bully's cage. And I was like, how the hell did they get to the bully? And my one of my cleaners, he's like, नहीं बाजी आप छोड़ दे, आप बस आप 1 मिनट आप बस देखे. I was like, okay. The bully adopted them.
Wow.
He was their grandfather. So he adopted 6 orphan puppies as his own. And they would climb on his ears. And bullies can be very aggressive. He is the biggest softie still with us now. So they climb on his ears. They would tug them. They'd pull him. They'd do. And he would just sit over there calmly. And he would let them do that. And this doesn't happen. This is not normal.
Yeah.
This is...
and there's so much to learn for humans. These stories, if only they can observe as closely as you do on a daily basis.
It's, this is what I was saying. If you can open your heart and your mind, अगर आप इसको खोल सकते हैं to just look around you. There's again, मैंने ये meditation में सीखा था कि आप चीज़ों को हमेशा label करते, like this is a glass, this is a mug, right? What if you just take the labels away? Just see them for what it is, right? Like for me, then I'm just seeing color and I'm seeing translucence and that's it. You're taking away the meaning जो हम चीज़ों को देते हैं. If you can look at the world like that, जहाँ पे जो आपने value attach किया है, जो आपने meaning attach किया, उसको हटा दे. Just see it for what it is. It is so beautiful that you realize all of these things you're chasing, the desires we have right now are so useless because just what's in front of you, and this is what we say, Karachi is a horrible place. यहाँ पे ये होता है, वो होता है. Yeah, it all happens. But because we are all also living in that mind, if you remove all the dirtiness and just see, the dogs on the road are beautiful. The birds are beautiful. You can hear the koyal at Maghrib every evening. It's a beautiful sound. हम इन चीज़ों को appreciate नहीं करते. And the moment you open up, it's, I think Nietzsche said this. He said, once you are awake forever. Because you can't unsee what you have seen.
Yeah.
And there's another philosopher I love, Alan Watts. He says, the universe, you are an aperture through which the universe is looking at itself. And that's like, whoa, when you think about it, it's like, oh my God. I sleep
to Alan Watts' lectures.
Oh my God, me too. I love him. I think he's just phenomenal. He's just taught me so many incredible things in life. So like a mixture of these scientists and philosophers and, like they have saved me because this is what I keep learning and seeing. And when I apply that in my own life and in my work, it's just like, damn, like they were onto something that I wish. This is what I try to teach people through my social media, through ACF social media more. ACF kind of became like my alter ego. I think we sort of grew up together. It's like my child and we grew up side by side, and जो भी मेरे thoughts होते हैं, I just put them over there. So, and they all get tied to animals somehow, but it's very philosophical. I talk about certain things or whatever, and I want to share my observations, the way I see things or the way I see the world, and I think people are really connected with that. I see my कहती हूँ, it's not so much about animals. It's about I think it's like it's the lens through which I'm trying to share just how beautiful things can be even over here. And I don't think you have to go to a far off country कि वहाँ पे चीज़ें बेहतर है या it's about how we can make this place जहाँ हम रहते हैं हम इसको कैसे खूबसूरत बनाएं. Like I can confirm कि जो मेरी sanctuary है, no jokes, लेकिन it is probably the most hopeful and peaceful and honest place in this entire country. It's actually because there are animals जिन पे इतना शदीद जुल्म हुआ है और जब वो उससे वापस आते हैं, एक एनर्जी वहाँ पे बनती है. I'm telling you, this is why I'm a little socially inept थोड़ा सा, because मैं इतनी different wavelength पे function करती हूँ जहाँ पे मैं ऐसी चीज़ें देखती हूँ कि you're just like it's very different. और फिर जो regular life होती है वो बहुत toxic feel होती है, because you know you're operating on a realm of
Yeah.
purity, of a very high functioning level of nature जो यहाँ पे normal नहीं है.
Is it true that in order to seek the peace within, if you make other people or animals life peaceful, you can actually gain from it? Because I'm remembering a quote, the only way you can measure the significance of your own life is by valuing the life of the others.
Yeah.
So how has it helped you with your inner peace?
I don't think I would know what inner peace if it wasn't for ACF. I think, you know, लोग कहते हैं you're very passionate for doing what you do. I think I'm very selfish because I do this because जो मुझे inner peace मिलती है, and even though I don't think it's enough, मुझे इतना ज़्यादा करना है. I'm a very ambitious person. I want to do a lot more in as many creative ways. Not just running the sanctuary. See, I'm doing like 5-6 other projects simultaneously with this to make this bigger. So for me, it's selfish though, because I do this because the kind of, and whatever other businesses or whatever मैं कर रही हूँ, I am gearing everything towards making this bigger. Because इसकी जो satisfaction मिलती है, it is otherworldly. वो इस दुनिया से नहीं है. It's, and I cannot explain it because जो मुश्किल ऑब्स्टिकल से मैं गुजरी हूँ इन दीज लास्ट 9 years, इट हैज़ नॉट बिन ईजी. जब आप प्रिविलेज की भी बात कर रहे थे ना, लॉट्स ऑफ पीपल जो प्रिविलेज की पोजीशन में भी होते हैं, इफ दे हैव गॉन थ्रू व्हाट आई हैव गॉन थ्रू टू मेक दिस पॉसिबल, इसलिए आप ये भी सोचें, यंग गर्ल पाकिस्तान में एक चीज़ कर रही है जो किसी ने कभी किया नहीं है. नो सपोर्ट, अकेले है. आई हैड 20,000 रुपीज़ और मैंने ये कैसे शुरू किया. And the kind of people coming forward to try to exploit me or to hurt me or to harm me or to pretend to want to help and not actually doing it, and all sorts of bad things. I told you I've been saved a lot, but in a lot of ways I haven't.
What kind of risk that could be involved in your line of work?
And there's a lot of risk. I think risk of life. I think risk of definitely, I think आई थिंक ऐसे बहुत से लोग थे जिनको पसंद नहीं था जो मैं करती थी. लाइक वो ऑफेंड होते थे कि मैंने कुत्तों को पंखा दिया है, राइट? लाइक बिकॉज आई हैड एट वन ऑफ माई प्रीवियस शेल्टर लोकेशन, ही मुझे ओवरनाइट मूव करना था. आई मूव 4 shelters in 1 year in the middle of monsoon. Literally we were swimming in the ocean, I'm saying in the on the roads. I had to pick up 250 animals, put them on shazors. मुझे दूसरी जगह ले जानी थी. I found this other place out of nowhere because people were throwing poison meat over the gate to kill my dogs. And फिर उन्होंने ऐसी चीज़ की थी कि हमारे गेट के बाहर ताला लगा दिया था कि मैं and my manager, like we were 2 girls, कि हम अंदर नहीं जाए. इतना they like to, even because I was a woman, they was also very hard. It's very hard because people can really, they like to make you suffer, especially the men. They want to make you beg and plead and cry. And people enjoy it.
What was their motive?
This.
Power, control.
It's always that. What else is it? Love it. They love it. They love to see. Yeah. And it was, they wanted to see me cry and get upset and get frustrated, which I did. And I remember seeing the satisfaction on this one person's face. And after that, I said, never again are you ever going to see me like this. I become like razor sharp now. Now I was like, don't mess with it. It's not going to happen.
But, do they also come from a standpoint कि कुत्ते जो है नापाक होते हैं और आप उनको पाल रही हैं,
नहीं,
या फिर ये कि रेबीज फैलाते हैं और ये?
It wasn't any of that. It wasn't about anything about that. It was just like ये कौन है और ये क्यों कोई अलग सी चीज़ कर रही है. And because I was the only one doing it, there's no guideline to follow. Right?
Yeah.
कोई ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि चलो I can call someone, be like आपने कैसे किया, ये कैसा हुआ, can you guide me a little bit? कुछ भी नहीं था. और जब लोगों को ये पता चलता है, फिर they realize कि very easy to exploit as well. तो बहुत सी ऐसी चीज़ें हुई है मेरे साथ, really bad things which we could get into another time. But it is these things कि even a person in a place of privilege, they would have quit. No one would stay seeing the kind of stuff that has happened. The only reason I stayed was because ये जो otherworldly वाली satisfaction के बारे में मैं बात कर रही हूँ ना, it is weirdly worth all the risk.
Dude, it must be so uh, peaceful.
It
And
is.
it must be so good that you keep doing it
Yeah,
despite all the challenges.
this is what I'm saying. I'm very selfish. I'm doing it because I'm very selfish.
Yeah.
Another thing I don't like is कि मुझे पसंद नहीं होता जब लोग कहते हैं कि you're an angel. You know, you're amazing.
Mankind angel.
Yeah, and like I have a place in heaven. I'm like, what if I'm a horrible person otherwise? What if I like beat up children? Then what? Do I still have a place in heaven? You know, I don't like these labels, and I don't like being told that I am something good, because number one, it puts you on a pedestal. और जो pedestal पे डालते हैं बहुत उसी आसानी से they can take you down, right? I don't like that, and I'm very aware of that. Number two, जब आप किसी को एक level पे आप करते हैं, then you're stopping other people from trying the same, because वो सोचते हैं कि चलो ये इसकी ही calling थी तो सिर्फ यही कर सकती है.
And then फिर वो उनको भी pressure होगा कि I will be measured against.
And I don't
what you're
think
doing.
that's fair. I think everyone can do something wonderful and something great. और मैं भी बस आई एम अ रेगुलर गर्ल, आई वाज जस्ट अ रेगुलर गर्ल, जिसको आई वाज टू रेस्टलेस और मुझे कुछ करना था. तो आई डोंट, और मेरे अंदर जो कॉलिंग थी वाज मोर रेस्टलेसनेस, बिकॉज आई वांटेड टू लिव अ मीनिंगफुल लाइफ. इट वाजंट कि आई वाज ओनली मेंट टू डू दिस एंड दिस इज ओनली फॉर मी. इट कैन बी एनीवन्स. एंड मुझे वो अच्छा नहीं लगता व्हेन पीपल जस्ट गिव इट टू वन पर्सन. You know, और फिर आपको उसके मुताबिक then they expect you to again perform. And I hate
always
this.
be right.
Yeah. And I am sometimes not compassionate. I am, but sometimes I can get angry, right? I also have a temper. I'm also a human being. I can be in a bad mood. So, and then if someone catches you like that, it's like, no, but you're supposed to be this. But I'm a human being. So it's these sort of things you need to see the darkness of a person. Even मुझे भी मेरे आप की darkness embrace करनी थी to be able to see the light. You know, it has to go hand in hand. Or with anyone, any sort of a public personality, I think, I mean, this is just my own thing, at least this is what I do, कि मैं दोनों sides दिखाती हूँ. I have tattoos. I'm not the regular girl you would see doing something like this, and I'm very aware of it. But I own it. And I think you got to own that you're, you know, all different sides of you. I'm a bit of a rebel. I'm, you know, all sorts of things, and it's okay. But I'm also this. So, and I think that makes it more real. If you are real, और अभी जो social media और सब पे especially हो रहा है कि people just have such a persona and they forget who they are because they are so engrossed in बस उस persona को uplift करने में से उसमें पैसे मिलते हैं, ये होता है, वो होता है, how many likes you're getting, how many followers you're getting, so you just maintain a persona, but is that really the way you are? Like, you know, like what, are you always so happy? Okay, do you always look a certain way? Like I'm normally at the shelter sweating like a mad person, but I'll show everything. If I'm in a bad mood, I'll show I'm in a bad mood. I'll rant, but I'll be like, okay, I'm sorry as well. Right? So I think it's very, at least for me, I think it's better to be real in that. And I think that's, again, what this work has taught me, that it's such a waste living someone else's life.
And for validation from others.
From strangers. A validation which literally, jab aap apne deathbed pe hoge, no one's going to care. Yeah. No one is going to, and everyone will forget about you as quickly as they, you know. It doesn't, none of this matters. Yeah. And that is, I think, a very liberating. When you can get away from all of that, and even I get into them. I'm like, you know, but this wasn't good. I wasn't looking good here. Or this wasn't okay or whatever. But then I remember this. It's very easy to get trapped into that. But you have to pull yourself out. And this is what I want kids, especially because kids, I guess, follow our work a lot and they're very inspired by it. और जो मुझे पसंद नहीं आता कि, you know, I don't want kids nowadays to think that you need to have a designer bag or you have to have this and that makes you relevant. If you're not doing all of these things, then you are not important enough. You know, if it was very interesting. I was giving this talk to kids and there was the other people also giving a talk and they were just talking about what's the quicker shortcut to making money. So just cut this corner. And I was like, what is happening? And I was like, I'm a social entrepreneur and I'm talking about how you can bring meaning to your life. And the kids literally zoned out. And I was like, this is so dangerous. This is the problem, right? हम shortcuts के लिए देखते हैं. No one wants to do the hard work. And there's a lot of hard work. Like even in the work I do, जैसे आपने बोला NGOs के बारे में, a lot of them are dodgy. मुझे, you know, मुझे audits का सीखना था, accounts का सीखना था. Like we are, mashallah, have every accreditation under the sun. But I had to get all of this. I had to learn all of this, then hire them, make enough money to hire the right people to make this happen. Before that, I was doing it. But you have to learn and learn. And keep doing, and you have to. So, and that's the thing, it's a long game. I'd spend my days वो shelter पे, रात में मैं घर पे, मेरी टीम वो मेरे डाइनिंग टेबल पे बैठती थी, and we used to make receipts, हम accounts करते थे. So I got an office only 2 years ago where I could afford to rent an office. वो मेरा shelter भी rented है, तो as मुझे और पैसे मिलते हैं, I kept renting more space for that also. Right? But now my accounts team and all, वो हमारे office पे बैठते हैं, that's in defense, and then the operations are separate in Malir. But again, it's the hard work. You have to go into, you have to do the hard work, and this cutting corners and just making a quick buck. तो आपको, and his reason was, देखो मैंने एक LV की belt पहनी है. You can wear one too in just 1 year. I was like, geez, this is what your standard of, like this is what your goal is. And that's what really bothers me, because you will never be satisfied.
Yeah.
Ever. You're always going to be chasing, and that chase is an illusion. Bilkul, there's no truth to it.
It's very meaningless, and also it loses value as soon as you acquire something.
And yes, and it actually leads to much more depression and much more anxiety than when you're constantly comparing and when you're constantly thinking that you're just not good enough at all.
कहते हैं ना, desires must have its object perpetually absent, because it's not the it that you want, it's the fantasy of it.
Absolutely.
So the sooner you get that you always wanted, you're doomed not to want it anymore.
And it's never as good when you get it. Like it's one of those things.
Yeah.
That like even for me, I mean, I always dreamt कि one day मेरा एक animal farm होगा, and माशाल्लाह से वो मेरा भी है.
Right.
लेकिन and then I realized कि no, but I wanted to be bigger. मुझे ये चाहिए था. Then I stopped myself and I was like, Ayesha again, third person, but I was like, what are you doing? This is what you wanted. That little kid, the 5-year-old Ayesha would be ecstatic right now. She was in the bathroom crying and shaking and having an anxiety attack at age 5, saying, how can I help? तो अभी ठीक है, इतने पैसे नहीं आया, इतना काम नहीं किया, लेकिन whatever you have done, just enjoy this. There's another thing about Alan Watts says, which I love. He says, life is like a dance, right? You dance the dance just to dance. You don't dance the dance to get to the end of the dance. So life is the same. You should live life for the living. It's a verb, it's not a noun. Not to get to the end of life. So for that, I keep telling him, I'm like, Ayesha, it's a dance. Dance the dance. So that's my constant mantra. I keep telling myself that dance the dance. You got to even enjoy the process. Good, bad. Even if you're cheated, laugh at yourself. Take it lightly too. ये बात है कि इस वाली जॉब में जो मैं करती हूँ इतनी डिप्रेसिंग है, इतनी injustice है, and it's so you can sink into a very dark depression to a point of suicide. In fact, one of the highest rates of suicide in the world are people who work in animal rescue. And यहाँ पे, I mean, we again only ones, so much pressure, इतनी demand, और मैंने आपको बताया what kind of rescues हमारे पास आते हैं. लेकिन जो मेरी टीम और मेरा ये एक चीज़ है कि we have a really dark sense of humor. And you have to be able to laugh at the darkest and the most disturbing of things, and only then can you get through. You need to have a good tribe, और you just have to be able to laugh. Laugh at yourself, laugh at the darkest of things, and that's because when life is hard, the only thing you can do sometimes is laugh.
Yeah.
And that's just what we do. So, and that's how you end up surviving.
Asha, tell me one thing. How can government help you in your cause? और ये भी बताएं कि गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से क्या challenges आपको face करने पड़े throughout your journey?
The government can help. The best way is कि अगर मैं एक program design करती हूँ, मेरे सब जो programs हैं वो इंसानों और animals के लिए mix होते हैं. जैसे अगर मैं donkeys की मदद कर रही हूँ, उसका मतलब है कि I am helping donkey owners. Donkey owners are one of the largest daily wages in Pakistan. और उनके लिए कोई union नहीं है, कोई support नहीं है. There's nothing for them. So, like what I would like is कि मैं एक program design कर लूँ, जो मैं अभी बहुत small scale पे कर रही हूँ, where I give a proper cart to a donkey वाला. इसलिए carts जो अभी होती है, अगर आप रोड पे देखते हैं, वो सब टूटी हुई होती है. एक पे जीप का टायर होता है, and on the other side there's like a rickshaw tire. Obviously it's imbalanced. जब आप weight डालते हैं, donkey's leg is going to break. It's common sense. And a healthy donkey is for at least 50,000 rupees. Not cheap. तो फिर आप donkey owner का इतना नुकसान भी होता है. और लोग कहते हैं कि just abolish the donkey cart. Realistically, we can't abolish the donkey carts yet, right? तो ठीक है, अगर है, maybe we can just plan better कि वो कम weight carry करे, सही कार्ड्स हो, ह्यूमेन हार्नेसेस हो. अभी जो हार्नेसेस वो डालते हैं उनमें नेल्स होते हैं, मेक द गम्स ब्लीड,
Oof.
दे स्लिट द नॉस्ट्रल्स बिकॉज इट्स अ फैशन. वो उनके बम पे नेल्स डालते हैं टू मेक देम रन फास्टर. इसी लोग ये समझते हैं कि डोंकीज work better when they're in pain. But that's not true. They're just in agony. Donkeys are very smart. अगर आप उनको सही तरीके से ट्रेन कर लें from a very young age, वो आपका काम करेंगे, they'll do it 10 times better. लेकिन अगेन ये सब एक प्रोग्राम के तौर पे, जैसे अगर मैंने ये डिज़ाइन किया है कि कार्ड इतने की है, हार्नेस इतने का है, मैं आपके लिए बेसिक टीचर्स को ट्रेन कर लूँगी कि आप डोंकी बिहेवियर ये होता है, आप ये सिखाएं. दिस इज़ अ मेडिकल स्टफ यू नीड टू डू. Make a union. I would like to gift that design. I don't want any money from the government. मुझे कुछ भी उनसे नहीं चाहिए वैसे. I just want to design programs where they can carry it forward, and I'm happy to supervise
That's
from a
wonderful.
distance.
Are there any cards जो कि are like some sort of a smart design?
Yes.
They can move more with like little effort and energy.
So this is what we've made. जो हमारा cart है, it kind of runs like a car. तो उस पे axle as such है. तो you
Okay.
can maneuver it a lot more easier.
Oh, that's
Right?
interesting.
This
Where'd
is
you
why
get those?
I got them made by a cart wala over here. लेकिन जो मैंने design लिया था, I went for a training in England.
Okay.
वहाँ से I got a design back. So I've localized that to fit our needs over here.
That's wonderful.
So I thought, and again, अगर आप वो करेंगे, अगर आप एक donkey की मदद करेंगे ऐसे, you're helping 8 people. Because donkey उनकी पूरी family है, and they all depend on that one donkey.
Wow. और उसके बावजूद उसके इतना torture करते हैं जिस पे depend करते
Yeah.
हैं. What's your take about ये जो donkey cart races होती हैं?
Oh my
कराची में?
God. I think you can tell by my face. So ridiculous. I mean, those races are like dog fighting, right? They are completely pointless. अगर आप किसी भी जानवर को इस्तेमाल करिए to make money on their pain and their torture, wrong on every level. Like I can't even say anything about it. You can't do that. That is anything where आप किसी को भी, आप इंसान को भी, if you're subjecting them to any sort of pain, you're making money off that. या आप उनको trauma से, they're going through trauma and you're making money. How is that okay? So in that way, I think any of these things are not, they're just not okay. And again, I'm not saying you can stop everything. आप सब कुछ एक साथ नहीं बंद कर सकते ना. And people even think, Ayesha, do this. Ayesha, इसको बस one person, I can only do that much. इसमें वो savior वाली चीज़ आती है ना.
Yeah.
Because लोग सोचते हैं कि no one is seeing कि ACF के पीछे कितना मैंने काम किया है. Maybe I'm like, oh my God, I'm so anxious. I'm doing this. I hope this works out. Like no one is seeing me pacing back and forth, freaking out, saying, "Chalo, I've taken this step, or I've taken this step, and is this going to work? Is this not going to work?" So no one is seeing the human behind. They're just seeing, okay, it's done, right? Because I will keep my word. I'll do. If I'm the same as you. If I write something on social media, I'll do it. I won't even talk about something unless I know I have a solution for it and I have a way of doing it. So I plan.
Acha, legally, what laws do you think we should have in order to protect animals?
Just
या
basic
जो existing
animal.
हैं और
नहीं, I
उन्होंने
think वो
है?
काफ़ी outdated है और वो
Okay.
active भी नहीं. I think they're completely dormant. We need to have proper and those are those don't even apply nowadays. तो उसमें कुछ इसमें culling या इन चीज़ों के बारे में कुछ है ही नहीं. In fact, there's nothing about a very standard thing, I think. What we need is actual proper animal right laws that literally we can copy. Like I have a copy which I have made. And I have them ready. I just want to push them somehow to get them passed. So, and I grabbed different laws from different countries और मैंने बस उनको alter किया according to what I've seen over here for all animals. From cattle to poultry to wild animals to the domesticated animals to sea animals. I've made it for all of them.
So you have a whole dossier?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think if we could actually put something into practice, I think that's the one thing because किसी को, again, no one has ever been held accountable. ना किसी को punishment कभी नहीं मिली है कि उसने animal को कुछ किया. तो अगर एक भी आदमी को कुछ punishment मिले that he's hurt an animal, it'll set some sort of an example.
और ये animal laws जो होते हैं, under which ministry do they come in? Wildlife or
They
livestock?
will come under
Livestock?
and they could also come under the environment. But we don't have an animal ministry itself.
We don't.
So technically, I think it should become animal and environment should go together.
And speaking of environment, how has climate change impacted the lives of animals? हम अपनी तो देख ही रहे हैं, गर्मी है, हम तो एसी लगा रहे हैं 2 टन का, बट लाइक हाउ इज इट इम्पैक्टिंग द लाइव्स? और फिर जो इकोसिस्टम डिस्ट्रॉय हो रहा है बिकॉज ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज, अगेन अ मैन मेड थिंग, it's our own doing because we want to go faster.
Yeah.
That's the thing, we want to go faster. So what's your take on that?
I mean, it's the same, right? Like, I mean, we'll rescue animals who literally die within an hour of being with us because they haven't had water in like 3 weeks, and they're just like their bodies are sukhawa and they're literally just sort of disintegrating in our arms, type of a thing. So that is the level of bad that it is, especially जब यहाँ पे जब flood आता है तो they all drown, जब ऐसे drought आता है या there's such a heat wave or whatever, they all die. अगर आप Empress Market जाए जहाँ पे हम बहुत काम करते हैं with the animals over there and we're trying to educate वहाँ के वो shopkeepers, वही चीज़ें उनको पता है, जो सही चीज़ें उन सबको पता है, उनको बस करना नहीं. And that's the very disheartening.
Because there's no accountability, किसी ने आके पूछना नहीं है.
बिल्कुल नहीं. और जो आप कर सकते हैं कि आप बस उनको आप पानी नहीं दे, and you just, all the animals are panting and they're dying and every single one is dehydrated. They're shooting up with, like, they're boiling with fever and they're just letting them die like that. And जब बारिश होती है, they get soaked. When it's freezing, then they die of pneumonia or something. So they just see them as objects. And I think that's the first thing, the perception that I'm trying to change is कि उनको objects की तरह नहीं देखे. They have, their hearts beat like our hearts beat. They get scared the way we get scared. उनको बुखार होता है जैसे हमको बुखार होता है. Literally, we are so similar. Just to the point कि जो, you'd asked me the similarity between humans and animals. And the biggest similarity I've seen is जो post-traumatic stress होता है, उसकी जो therapy होती है. I've never studied animal behavior, by the way. I've just picked it up over time. But I use the same techniques जो मैंने इंसानों के लिए learn की थी during my therapy course. I use the same for animals. So when a person is going through post-traumatic stress, उनको किस चीज़ की ज़रूरत है? They need stability, security चाहिए. They need to have a routine of some sort. एक pattern बनाना होता है because pattern and routine indicate safety, right? For any kid even. This is why routine is so important for children, right? Because it's a sense of security. Even if you're giving boundaries and you're grounding a child, it's a very good thing because it gives you boundaries and that's very healthy. Animals are the same. We will give them food at the same time every day. Unko pata bhi hota hai because they'll start wagging their tails or barking or whatever. Same time pe mere animal care managers jo hote hai, who are the sort of the rehabilitation people at the sanctuary, they'll go and they'll sit with, say, one particular dog who's aggressive because he's so scared or uski aankh nahi hai. And behind aggression, there's always sadness. So for human and animal, no one is actually angry. Agar aap kisi se bhi puche, behind anger, when you really move all the layers, it's always sadness. Same with the animals, but they'll go sit with the animal at the same time every day. That the animal looks forward, and they have a nature's clock in their head. I don't know how they just know that this person will come and sit next to them at this time. So then
they're also very social.
Yeah, so you see first they'll be like and sit in a corner and not come near, or their face will be towards the wall, and then we just sit over there and we make cooing sounds, and you talk in a little way that because they pick up on the tone of your voice as well. If you have a certain tone, it's so funny, the tail will slowly, because they don't know what happiness is. So dogs get so confused when the tail suddenly starts wagging. They're like, what's that? Because they don't know what that feeling is. It's so adorable and tragic at the same time because suddenly they're like, but I'm happy, but what is this feeling? I don't know what this is. And then slowly every day they get more familiar with the feeling of a wagging tail and they get happier and happier. Then they start jumping and waiting for you to come by. And then when you can go by and the aggression has changed into happiness, you're like, okay. It's not just a physical thing, it's the emotional. This is why they can all live together so happily, because everyone is genuinely happy because they have actually healed all wounds.
And they actually look and feel like Disney animals, as you see in the cartoons.
It's
like
funny,
chirpy
and it's so
musical.
Because and I think this is another thing why people are so fascinated by what I do over here. See, jo main dikhati hu, it is like that. It kind of feels like you're in Cinderella in a way, because the animals just become like that. It's truly a magical place. Like, I'm not even just saying that. It's like every time it's like my place, but every time I'm there, I'll see something that'll just blow me away. You know, my biggest inspiration just comes from just seeing what nature actually is and just sitting with myself. And that's where I experience, you know, the stillness. Like my meditation isn't like just sitting there and breathing. Like I'm just going to be sitting with it and looking. And I'm so fascinated by, like I just told you about that baby donkey and how he has 5 mothers. So I'll see him feeding on all the mothers. And they like nuzzle him a little bit. Then the other baby will come and they'll nuzzle him. And it's so fascinating and beautiful. So, and I just get lost in that. I'm like, oh shit, I have to come back to regular life. But yeah.
Interesting. I remember your story, Wali. जब बारिश हो गई थी, so
Oh God.
one of my friend Umar Ehtesham, he got his
Yeah, yeah.
rescued.
Oh God, you know, everyone remembers that video for some reason. I keep like dying of embarrassment that people remember.
No, but like it came from your heart.
It did. It was that was probably one of the scariest times.
Yeah.
Of
बहुत
my life.
खतरनाक बारिश थी.
A next level khatarnak.
And only Umar
It
could
was
have done it because he is that kind of a person.
Yeah, you know, he came a little later even, you know, at the beginning when I got there, it was like, all I could hear was 600 animals screaming. And there were only 3 members of my team. And it was like maybe 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. And we didn't know what to do because it was completely dark. And we've been at that location for maybe 2 years उससे पहले और ये कभी नहीं हुआ है कि अचानक से क्या हुआ और drainage and all is good. तो ये इतनी अजीब चीज़ थी, I can't tell you. And no one knew what to do. और हमारे पास ऐसे animals नहीं है कि we can just set them free to swim away because some are blind, some are 3-legged, some are paralyzed, some are under treatment. Like, how are you supposed to just open the door and say go out? So, and my team over there, my 3 members of my team, they were like, what are we going to do, Ayesha? What are we, the 5 people at that time? What are we going to do? And one of the solutions was just open the doors and let the animals go. And I was like, no, that's cruelty because that's us being lazy. That means we are just taking the easy way out and we're not going to do that. So I was like, we're going to pick up. So literally we were picking up these iron, heavy duty, all just as girls and maybe like 2 men. We were picking up these heavy duty iron cages. I don't know where we got the strength from. But again, I think somehow if you want to do it, you find a way. And we were making platforms out of that and whatever we had so that we could lift all the animals and put them on that. And then people started. And then I went outside and I made that video. I was sitting in our rescue van at that time. And I just quickly went live because I was like, I need whatever I said that I needed. And at that time, we'd lost 1 kitten and 1 cat. Not because of the flood, but there was a little bit of pani, but they were already super injured and they were not going to make it. But it just hit me in such a bad way. I think that's when I broke down. Because I was in such a state of, like this survival mode. And I left my phone. I went back inside because I had to go help. And I came back and there were maybe like 5,000 messages. And my phone had blown up to a point that it had got hot because it was non-stop. And that's when a lot of people got in touch and they were like, how can we help? We want to come. And that was literally the entire city came to our rescue where like the army, the rangers, PPP, PTI, every political party, every single person who you could think of somehow reached there by the evening. There was one of those insane situations. And then volunteers like Umar and all, they were there for like days, just helping us, doing the heavy duty stuff. So it was really incredible the way everyone got together to help, be it in whichever way. Like I've never seen something like that in the country. And I was like, how? And
that too for animals.
Yeah. And I was like, how did everyone like end up here? And not just that, we got permission to actually break main Malay road. So we cut that with an excavator and all. They broke that so that we could let the water drain out. Yeah. So all of this happened in less than 24 hours. And it was insane. Everyone got together and they were like, we have to help. So I was like, I really do feel like it is your energy which you put out there, and it wasn't me. It was
resonated. It hit the right chords, and I also remember that.
I don't even remember. I was in such a blur. It was, again, I just think it's the energy of the animals, and I'm just like a vessel through which it flows. But yeah, so we were, and the other thing that Altaf is talking about is the lockdown. Yeah. So when lockdown started, my biggest concern was like I had to take all the permission. जैसे मुझे shelter जाना था. Cars couldn't go out at that time, na? But we technically work in healthcare. लेकिन वो इंसानों की healthcare का था. I had to get permissions from the government, ये वो कि our cars are allowed to travel, because it was very strange. लेकिन in the lockdown, abuse animals पे ज़्यादा हो गया था, which is bizarre what all we saw at that time. और हमारी रेस्क्यू की गाड़ी, फिर मेरे मैनेजर्स की पिक एंड ड्रॉप की गाड़ी, तो मुझे सब कुछ प्लान करता कि हाउ आर वी गोइंग टू ट्रैवल, बिकॉज आई हैव सो मेनी एनिमल्स एट द शेल्टर, तो हम ये कैसे करेंगे. तो पहले वो सब परमिशंस लेनी थी, टू मेक श्योर वी आर मोबाइल एंड एबल टू कम. एंड देन आई कुडंट स्लीप बिकॉज आई वाज रियली वर्ried इन जनरल. नो वन न्यू व्हाट कोविड वाज. लेकिन मैंने ये सोचा कि एम्प्रेस मार्केट पे what is happening in these pet shops, because मुझे ऐसा, because pet shops again they see them as objects. They were told कि आप बंद कर दे और आप घर चले जाए. तो for 10 days animals they were locked in cages in dark little shops, and they just starved and suffocated to death. And these are all sorts of cats, Persians, all fancy breeds of dogs, all sorts of wild animals. Everyone just died. And within, I think after 10 days, when after lockdown happened,
that could have been another outbreak.
Yeah, it easily, because you've just left them and gone. So what do you think is going? Because they were all shitting on each other, and they anyway do, right? That's why agar aap in markets mein jai, it is a nightmare.
Yeah,
it is horrible what you see. So then I put out something on social media again saying how is a heat wave affecting animals in pet markets or whatever, and suddenly got a lot of traction, and people were like, yeah, I wonder what is going on. Or itni traction aa gaye, which is how it happens with us. The government got in touch and they were like, tell us what to do. We'll figure this out. I was like, we have to go in. So at that time, then we made our whole team. We went inside the markets. We rescued, and majority were dead in front of us. But whoever was left, we took them out. And it really became a big story. I don't know how you remember it. But for me, it was more like, what is happening with them? Like, I cannot fathom or bear the thought. Again, it's that kid in me. It's like, I can't stay with the suffering. If you see the suffering, if you don't fix it, and if you're a bystander, I think you're as bad as the one who's making the suffering happen.
True.
So that's how I guess live life.
Ayesha Chundrigar, thank you so much. It has been really fascinating hearing all the stories and all the spirit that you have. And I hope that kid in you is there always, because we need more and more of that. And I hope through your work and through your voice, we are able to maybe have some laws for the animals and somehow inculcate the empathy in the hearts of people, so that you can get a little busier, little less busier than you already are.
I really hope so. Plus, there's so many other things I want to do, right?
Yeah.
This is just one of them.
Yeah.
I want to explore so much more. Like, my aim is I want to become obsolete. That this becomes so normal कि इतने लोग करे कि मेरी कोई need ही नहीं.
Yeah.
So I want to be out of business, actually.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really
So I hope you
appreciate it.
guys enjoyed today's podcast. Or if you want to support ACF, details description में mention है. और ज़रूर अपने रिव्यूज़ और अपने कमेंट्स से हमें आगाह कीजिएगा, और अपना ख्याल रखिएगा. इंशाल्लाह आपसे मुलाकात होगी दोबारा किसी और एपिसोड में विद अनदर फैसिनेटिंग गेस्ट. तो तब तक के लिए खुदा.